Hey, what's up, Thumpers? Welcome to a very special episode, a Hyper Heroes special. You guys have asked for it, and we are going to mix things up this year. And one of the things we're doing is more comic book explanations and recommendations. So we have a comic book, actually a couple, recommendations for you for after you watch Birds of Prey. Your camera is not messed up. Your screen is fine. I'm sitting in the middle. I'm taking point on this one. I'm taking point,
Careful.
Okay? We are here. We've just seen Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
And the goal of this video is to maybe try to get some of our amazing viewers to try some comics that you maybe otherwise haven't tried before.
Yeah. On top of that, if you haven't seen Birds of Prey yet, we did an amazing recap that recaps all the events leading up to it. And our spoiler review is also partially a non-spoiler review. But I'm super excited to get into some comics.
Okay. Here's the other thing, too. I want to preface this. Harley Quinn in the movie Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn, that is such a remixed movie.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. There's not a whole lot of comics that feature Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey, those characters, because it is so remixed.
Yeah.
So this is going to be part one. I want to focus on the Harley element of this movie and sort of where that character is and what we can kind of tie to with some comics. All right? So if you're trying to go back to comic history, her first comic appearance technically, because she appeared in the cartoon show, is an issue of Batman Adventures, which is just a comic book that is, you know, the Batman the Animated Series comic book. So it was Batman Adventures number 12, and it's collected in a paperback collection that is the Batman Adventures Volume 2. So if you wanted to read that, but it's just like the cartoon, it's not like a proper comic book universe appearance. That one is in here. It was a single issue that was called Batman Harley Quinn, number 1, and it's collected in this collection, which is Batman Harley Quinn. And this is when she first appeared in the DC universe proper with that great cover by Alex Ross.
Yup,
Unbeatable.
Classic.
Unbeatable.
Classic.
And this is it. And this is her first, this is the first time that she's written into, sort of mainstream DC continuity.
Didn't they recreate this in Suicide Squad?
Absolutely,
They
because it's so
recreated this into
iconic.
Suicide
Yeah.
Squad.
Because it's so iconic. So you could start there, but I'm actually not quite recommending it. In fact, the one I'm recommending, you can find the link in the description, and you should click on that link because it's not just any old sort of Amazon link. I'm giving you an In-Stock Trades link. If you don't know In-Stock Trades, this is not even sponsored by them, but I just love this website so much. They're going to hook you up. Minimum 35% off. Oftentimes, their trade paperbacks are 40% off. If you get orders over $50, free shipping. Just click on the link. You don't have to buy it, but just click on the link. To see
Read
what they
the
got.
summary of
No
the book,
joke.
at least.
See what they got.
That's where I get all my comic books
That's
from.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
what's up.
So kind of moving along to sort of a volume 1 of Harley, because this is sort of like a compilation of a bunch of different stuff. So like a Harley series, there's Harley Quinn Volume 1, which is called Preludes and Knock Knock Jokes, which is a playoff of Sandman Volume 1, which is Preludes and Nocturnes. So this is Harley Quinn. The tricky thing is that this is gorgeous art. Look through this. It's the Dodsons. It's Terry and Rachel Dodson. It's a little cheesecake. I'm frankly a little bit embarrassed to give this to, say, my girlfriend, to be like, here's some Harley Quinn comics, because it feels as though, and it was written by a male writer, and the writing's great, and I love this comic, but it feels like it's very much like a sort of male-oriented perspective for a male audience.
Just from these shots, it's all boobs and butt shots.
Absolutely. It's cheesecake art. There's a lot of beefcakes in there, too, but it's definitely cheesecake. Look at these assassins. Look at this pair of assassins. Women would never wear that. That's a tough sell. And
I'm going to keep my jokes to myself.
Story-wise, this is another important thing, too. Story-wise, even though this is sort of Volume 1 of Harley Quinn, this is from like the late 90s, early 2000s, it still feels like a Harley that she's hung up on the Joker.
Right.
Yeah.
She hasn't moved on yet. So there's this constant, which
She's
is
not emancipated yet.
fun to read, not emancipated yet. Which brings us to, boom, the actual recommendation. Harley Quinn, Volume 1, Hot in the City. This is from the sort of New 52 line, but it didn't premiere in 2011. It premiered in 2013, so a couple years after the New Universe reboot, and some stuff had gone down. There was that Death of the Family storyline where the Joker cut off his own fucking face, and was and Harley Quinn was involved in that. And by the end of that, there was a moment where Harley was like, "That's not the man I loved." And so it was really like clean break. So you get this Volume 1, and it's got the great creative team of Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti were writing it. Amanda Connor was doing the covers, and great artists like Chad Hardin and Stephane Roux. Alex Sinclair is part of the artistic team. It's like really, really stellar stuff. And the fun thing is, this collection collects issues 1 through 8. Issue number 0 is right up at the front, even though in the New 52, I don't know if issue 0 came out. It may have come out before then, but issue 0 is this fun jam issue where they have a bunch of different artists each do like one page, including Jim Lee, Bruce Timm.
This is Trad Moore.
That's Trad Moore.
Oh, man,
nice.
I love Trad
That's
Moore.
that all-new Ghost Rider, and like the speed lines are great. So it's a fun jam issue 0, which
That's
sets
so
up
dope.
that Harley Quinn is going to get this. She gets this inheritance of like a piece of property in Brooklyn. So she moves to Brooklyn. And the reason I'm picking this is just because the humor and the tone, although there's no Birds of Prey characters in it quite yet, eventually this run is the run that sort of defines modern day Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And it's a great starting point because it's this volume 1. And the humor is great. And the sexual innuendo is great. And the relationships between Harley, it feels the most like this is Harley emancipated. Like she really is her own character. And she's making relationships with new characters. And there's a thing. Can you change the page, man? That's such an inappropriate. Just like the movie, there's that theme of found family.
Yeah.
So that's in there. So I want to list some of the similarities to the movie. You get Harley's stuffed beaver in this.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So that's from there. And in the comic book, the beaver speaks, and you can see what the beaver's saying.
Oh,
but
interesting.
in the movie, she
it's in her
speaks to
head.
the beaver,
It's in her head,
so
but it
good.
never responds.
So I'm not trying to do too many spoilers
Oh,
for the
look,
movie.
there is
but
a motorcycle with the beaver attached to the front.
there, right there.
That's great.
Harley plays roller derby.
This
That's
is
where
the
this comes
cover.
from.
Cover, she's on roller skates.
Roller derby.
Yeah.
There is also a hit placed on Harley, just like in Birds of Prey. That's something that she has to deal with.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different in the comic books, and kind of just like the movie, she lives in an apartment over a small business, and that's all sort of kind of her community. You know, there's a much larger supporting cast in the comic versus the movie. It was like the one guy who owned the restaurant.
Yeah.
But similar vibe of like, oh, he's watching out for her, she's watching out for him. Cool. And that feeling is in the comic. The book pretty often breaks the fourth wall and kind of directly addresses the reader. The movie does the same thing.
The movie does.
Right? Harley looks right down the barrel of the camera.
Yeah.
And there's also this element
felt
of,
good.
is there an unreliable narrator kind of a thing? I'm not sure. And lastly, I really love this detail. In the comic book, here's a spoiler for the comic and the movie, whatever. She feeds a guy to an animal, which is great.
Yes.
I'm not going to tell you what animal. I'm not going to tell you what guy. But that happens in this book. And I was like, awesome. That's awesome. The other thing I wanted to point out is, it's the best time to be a Harley fan right now, Harley Quinn fan. Because not only do you have the movie, the animated show on DC Universe.
That's what I need to watch.
There's
Maybe we'll do a video on that.
We should.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have done a podcast for that. Maybe, well, whatever, if you guys want. But there is some great elements in the cartoon show that I think are also kind of pulled from this. Not that this wasn't already historically part of Harley Quinn, but she has a great friendship with Poison Ivy in this book. And it's a thing where it's like, it's a very close friendship. Some would say intimate. It kind of hints at that a little bit. She's definitely like flirty, but it's like such a good friendship. Whether it's romantic or not, that friendship, that bond is so great in this book, and that's in the cartoon show as well. And the character of Cyborgman originates in this comic book, which is great. Did you get to that part in the cartoon show yet?
No.
Cyborgman is a like octogenarian cyborg. He was like a super
He's like
spy.
a geriatric cyborg.
Yes, he was like a super
He's
spy.
riding a mobility scooter.
Exactly. He was here's a little page of his origin. I'm gonna find it for you.
Right there.
He is a super spy that was a super spy in the 80s, but he got blown up, so he had some stuff sort of replaced by bionic.
Sick.
He's got sick flames on his mobility scooter.
He's a hilarious character. In the cartoon show, he's voiced by Jason Alexander from Seinfeld.
Awesome.
And he's
really?
this very
Oh my
hilarious, like
God.
old Jewish guy. And the way that him and Harley react to one another and the way that they react to one another in this comic book is so funny. And
That's awesome.
Honestly, watching the cartoon show, which again is another recommendation for the show if you haven't seen it yet, but if you have seen the show and haven't read Harley comics, it will enhance the comic. Because I'm hearing Jason Alexander's voice be like, Mashugana! And I'm like, this is hilarious. This is so good.
Well, and I think that the great advantage of the Harley Quinn movies coming out now is we've had 30 years of the animated series.
Correct.
Where Harley's story really is introduced and we get to know the character. But then all these amazing comic book writers have been able to come in and do their interpretation and a little bit of their version of Harley Quinn and build on the legacy and the backstory of who that character is and how that character evolves over the last 30 years. Her relationship with the Joker, her relationship with other criminals in Gotham City. And I think that's what excites me when it comes to like, okay, I've seen the movie, I want to do a deep dive on the character. Let's really live in those characters and let's really richen up like what that is. And if the comic books enhance that, then that just gets me more excited about a potential sequel or
totally.
Harley Quinn's next appearance in The Suicide Squad.
Oh, totally, yeah. Like I'm hoping that even more elements from this comic book are maybe
This looks really cool.
adapted in a future Harley Quinn live-action movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like season 2 of the cartoon show and beyond and beyond.
Exactly.
But I think this is a great starting point. I feel
Robot
like
Chicken version.
yeah,
That's great.
They did a cover, all the variant covers in the back. Those
That's
are great.
great,
But
yeah.
the art is solid, the writing's great. But this is my recommendation again because I feel like it's the closest in tone to sort of how sort of zany and irreverent and at some point very emotional.
Yeah.
The Birds of Prey movie is concerning Harley.
Yeah.
And the next time we do one of these videos, I'm going to do some deep dives and I'm going to get you guys Birds of Prey comics. I'm talking Black Canary, Huntress, even Renee Montoya. I might do a separate one for Renee Montoya because there's one comic in particular that I want to recommend about Renee that's a lot of people's favorite that's so good. But for right now, we're going Harley Volume 1, Hot in the City. Click that link. It would be awesome if you did.
Click that below.
Check out what else that website's got to offer. And if you want to do more Harley like historical deep dives, again, you can do the preludes and knock jokes. It's fun, but it's a little dated, a little bit. Just be warned, you can't give it to your mom.
No.
And then that sort of historical, her first ever appearance, or the animated one at the top, or whatever else. So, guys, thanks for joining me.
Of course.
That was fun.
Amazing recommendations. I can't wait to read them.
Thank you so much. I would say to everybody watching right now, in the comments, let us know if you've read this comic book, if you enjoy it, if you recommend it, what other Harley starting points you would recommend.
Let the community know.
Are we missing anything?
Yes, or your favorite Harley comic book thing ever, and if there needs any context to get to that point. Because if your favorite Harley story is in like this series, but it's volume 4, like let us know and be like, oh man, if you read all 4 and then you get to this one, it's so good. Like let us know your favorite Harley Quinn comic stuff, and we'll be back hopefully sooner than later with some more Birds of Prey comic shit.
Caw-caw!